Show of hands, everybody, who likes money? Now put your hands down, because I can't see them through the computer screen. What's up, guys? Thorn here, and welcome to another video game discussion video. If there's one thing that Elder Scrolls games are dubiously known for, it would have to be their glitches. Sometimes they are funny, sometimes they are game-breaking, but at the best of times, they can give the player a huge advantage at the game. One category of exploit you can always expect to find in any Elder Scrolls game is an exploit to give you infinite money. Today, I'd like to honor the best of them. This is the top 5 Elder Scrolls infinite money exploits. After you've seen this list, please post your own suggestions for the great infinite money exploits if you can think of any. I might feature them in a sequel video, kind of like how Outside Xbox will sometimes have commenters' additions for their lists. Number 5. Banish enchantments in Skyrim. This is so low on the list primarily because it's one the most people are already going to be familiar with, seeing as how Skyrim is the best-selling game in the entire franchise. But it's still so lucrative that it deserves mention. Honestly, I'm pretty sure this is a bug. The value of Banish enchantments are so far ahead of even the second most lucrative weapon enchantment, Paralyze, that the value of the enchantment was most likely a typo on Bethesda's part. The base value for Banish enchantments is 113. By comparison, the Paralyze effect has a base value of only 34, and after that, the base values of the enchantment effects seem much more reasonably spaced apart. Also, the value of the various effects seem roughly proportionate to their value in combat. For example, Paralyze and Absorb Health are the second and third most valuable enchantments in the game, and they are obviously the most valuable to have in the field. My guess is that the Banish effect was originally supposed to have a base value of 13, but someone at Bethesda accidentally hit the 1 key twice by mistake, and then they just never got around to correcting it. But as it stands, spamming enchantments is easily one of the easiest, although most boring, ways in the entire game to make money. But it isn't the easiest way to make money in the game. We'll get to that later. Banish enchantments can easily increase the value of your weapon by 3,000 gold a pop. The secret is to use lesser soul gems rather than petty ones until you get up to level 60 enchanting. Because if you use a petty soul gem before then, you won't be able to obtain the maximum enchantment magnitude for your weapon. Generally speaking, the smaller the soul, the more value you get out of the enchantment compared to the cost of purchasing the soul gem. But that's only if you can get the maximum enchantment magnitude. Until you get up to 60 enchanting, petty souls do not allow you to get up to the maximum magnitude, so use lesser souls until then. In addition to the fact that everyone knows about this exploit, there are 2 major caveats to this exploit that cause it to be so low on the list. The first is how tedious it is to enchant all these weapons. It would be so much easier if you could set the enchantment parameters and then just keep pressing one button over and over again until you ran out of ingredients. Second, due to a bizarre oversight by Bethesda, enchantment values actually decrease as your enchanting skill goes up, rather than increase. If you use the Fortify Restoration Alchemy loop to make super-powered enchantments, the enchantments will actually provide no additional increase in monetary value whatsoever. That just makes no sense. But still, without DLC, Banish enchantments are the definitive way to make money in Skyrim. Number 4. Horse stealing in Daggerfall. You've probably stolen a horse once or twice in Oblivion or Skyrim. Great way to get somewhere fast in a pinch when you can't afford to buy a horse of your own. But horse stealing isn't a valuable way to make money, even as a thief. That's because Bethesda learned their lesson from Daggerfall and made sure not to have this exploit in future games. Horse stealing in Daggerfall is a very easy way to make money. This is especially valuable in Daggerfall, seeing as how money is otherwise very difficult to come by, and the items to be purchased are way too expensive. Just to give you a taste of how expensive these items are, consider this. The average dungeon crawl will yield between 1500 and 2500 gold worth of loot, but the cheapest player home in Daggerfall costs 300,000 septims. Clearly, we need a faster way to rake in the dough. Oh, and player homes in Daggerfall are not optional. You are not normally allowed to rest in the city streets to replenish your health, magicka, or stamina, as doing so will get you arrested for the crime of vagrancy. So you absolutely need a player home in order to be able to rest up. Fortunately, the horse stealing exploit has you covered. To do this, you enter a general goods store. There are literally hundreds of them across the game map and several in each major city, so take your pick which one. The important thing is that they have to offer a horse and a cart for sale. The inventory they offer is randomized at the start of the game, so don't expect a general goods merchant from a previous playthrough to have one for sale on your current one. Anyway, once you've found a viable merchant, you're going to want to loiter in his shop. Don't wait, but loiter. Loitering, for some reason, doesn't get you arrested for vagrancy, although it doesn't replenish your health, magic, or stamina either. You want to loiter until nightfall when the shop is normally closed. Once the shop is closed, the store shelves will act like dungeon containers, allowing you to simply take whatever items you want from those shelves you fancy without paying for them. Daggerfall shops, by the way, have you purchase items by selecting them from the store shelves rather than talking to the merchant. You can then walk over to the shopkeeper and sell his own inventory right back to him. That alone is an interesting free money exploit, but this exploit isn't about selling a merchant his own inventory, it's about stealing horses. Well, if you clear out the shelves inventory completely, including the horse and cart, you can exit out of the inventory menu, immediately enter back into the shelves inventory, and you will see that another horse and cart has been immediately restocked. The horse and cart are both weightless, so you can hold as many of them in your inventory as you have the patience to collect using this method. Of course, you'll only ever need one horse for fast travel, and while carts provide extra space to store loot on the go, they don't stack with each other, so one horse and one cart provides you with all the benefits you'll ever get out of those two items. So when you've gotten your fill of horses and carts, you can keep one of each for yourself and sell the rest of them back to the merchant. It's easy to rack up about 40,000 gold in 10 minutes using this method. Number 3. Salmon Row in Skyrim. Added by the Hearthfire DLC, Salmon Row even surpasses Giant's Toe in terms of the most monetarily valuable alchemy ingredient, and by quite a large margin. At level 15 alchemy, without any fortifications or perks, you can mix Salmon Row, Chicken's Egg, and Hanging Moss, the last two of which are very easy to come by, to create a potion worth 1,259 gold. The sort of potion you'd expect to craft by endgame. But if you have 100 alchemy, all relevant perks, and 100% alchemy fortifications, you can mix those three ingredients together to make a potion worth a whopping 10,295 gold. Not too shabby for only half a pound of carry weight. But what really blows this exploit out of the water, literally, is the fact that you can farm Salmon Row in unlimited quantities. I don't mean farming in the video game gameplay sense, I mean farming in the agricultural sense. After purchasing Winstead Manor, the Hearthfire home for the city of Morthal, and one of the few things Morthal actually gives us that's actually worthwhile, you can set up a fish hatchery. If you grow salmon in the hatchery, you can literally grow your own limitless supply of Salmon Row. Now combine that with the fact that the other two ingredients are not only common, but completely ubiquitous, and you may never bother with another money potion combination ever again. Honestly, even the Giant's Toes seem more trouble than they're worth. you'll only need to bother with giants because their mammoths have grand souls. In fact, with the kind of money you'll be making from this exploit, you'll probably won't even need that. You can just buy as many pre-filled grand soul gems as your heart desires. I mean, around level 50-ish, it's not like you're going to have anything else to spend your money on. Number 2. Golden Saint Soul Trapping in Morrowind. While I believe Morrowind is overrated, I have to give credit where it is due. It is the last game in the franchise to have several things that would be classified as realistic, like the ability to kill quest characters, the ability to alienate your relationships with NPCs. Skyrim has that ability, but only in a handful of very specific scripted events. And most importantly of all for this list, truly valuable items actually being valuable. In Morrowind, empty Grand Soul Gems have a base value of 200 drakes. By contrast, a Grand Soul Gem with a Grand Soul included has a base value of an astonishing 80,000 drakes. That's a value increase of 40,000%. Of course, empty Grand Soul Gems are pretty hard to come by, at least in vanilla Morrowind. If you have the Tribunal expansion, however, there are 2 different merchants who carry a restocking, and therefore infinite, supply of empty Grand Soul Gems. But then, how do you find enemies to slay to actually fill these Soul Gems with? Enemies who drop Grand Souls are rare, and are usually extremely powerful. The answer? Just make your own enemies to farm souls with. Just head over to a city called Telbranora, speak to a dude named Phelan Marion, and he can sell you a spell to summon your own golden saints for a small duration. In Skyrim, they took out the ability to soul trap your own summoned creatures, but in Morrowind, the Summon Golden Saint spell can be used to obtain infinite grand souls. This method is so lucrative that you honestly have no need to even enchant for profit anymore. In the few times I played Morrowind before I decided it was boring, this method of making money quickly surpassed alchemy as my primary source of income in the game. Of course, the biggest caveat to this approach isn't the difficulty of finding a reliable means of exploiting this method, it's finding a place to actually sell these soul gems once you've filled them. The merchant mudcrab only buys weapons, armor, and potions. A Belbedial Tinzem fuck has way too high of a mercantile skill for you to get top price for your soul gems, and all other merchants in the game have a relatively measly 5,000 gold or less to trade with. Gee, if only merchants had infinite money. Oh wait. And the #1 infinite money exploit in the Elder Scrolls franchise is the Rusty Ogre Lodge from Daggerfall. Ironically fitting that the game in this franchise most in need of money is also the one with the most lucrative money exploit. In fact, it is totally possible to get around 2 million gold in one night as early as level 1 from this exploit. First, you'll need a recall spell. There is no mark spell in Daggerfall because whenever you cast the recall spell, it gives you the option of whether to create an anchor, aka mark, or to teleport to that anchor. So you'll want to set an anchor to inside a vendor's shop, preferably a blacksmith's vendor for reasons I'll get to in a minute. Next, you'll want to head to a tavern that has some beds and footlockers up a spiral staircase. This list right here, courtesy of the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages, provides a list of known viable options for this exploit. So once you've set your recall anchor, you then enter the tavern of your choosing, head up the stairs, and save your game. Plunder the chests at the feet of the beds, then save your game again and reload. Contents of these chests have suddenly reset and now contain new loot. The first immediate concern is that the guards heard you plundering someone else's private property, and you can immediately hear them downstairs yelling at you to halt. But here's where the exploit gets downright hilarious. The AI can't seem to climb up spiral staircases. What? So you spend as much time plundering these upstairs chests to your heart's content. Once you've gotten your fill of booty, there's still the problem of the guards blocking your only exit out of this tavern and, therefore, your means of offloading all this loot. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where the recall spell comes into play. See, in Morrowind and beyond, once you commit a crime and there's a witness, you have a bounty placed on your head. Guards then universally know who you are and proceed to arrest you on sight. In Daggerfall, however, if you manage to make it through a load screen door before the guards manage to arrest you, you actually get away with your crime scot-free. So just recall your way out of there and you get to keep all the booty you stole. So that's all fine and good, all the loot you can carry, right? But let's take this one step further and actually get the most valuable loot we can possibly acquire, seeing as we are still limited in carry weight and therefore still need the best value to weight ratio for our loot. So that's where we turn to the source of this entry's name. The Rusty Ogre Lodge. Now we're cooking with gas! Believe it or not, the Rusty Ogre Lodge is actually the town that this tavern is in, rather than the tavern itself, despite the fact that it actually has the word lodge in the name. So, you enter the tavern known as the White Goblin, and head up the stairs, and you've got about a dozen beds with chests at their feet. But the sheer number of chests you can plunder is only the tip of the iceberg. The real reason that this is the best place to do this exploit is what you find inside these crates. These crates have the highest chance in the game to spawn Daedric weapons. That's right, Daedric weapons at level 1, and these weapons are expensive out the ass. Leave all the crap loot behind and just load up on all the Daedric weapons you can carry. Be sure to get yourself a cart so you have even more inventory space. Again, you can get carts for free by exploiting an earlier glitch in this list. After you've gotten your fill of Daedric weapons, you can set aside some Daedric weapons to keep for yourself for the rest of the game and sell all the remaining ones. On a decent haul, it is not at all uncommon to get about 2.2 million gold pieces for your troubles. Don't worry about sucking the merchant dry of all his gold because he literally has infinite gold to give you. Granted, money in this game isn't weightless, so you can't carry around an infinite amount of it, but if you sell your gear for more money than you can carry, the merchant will actually pay you in lines of credit, which actually weigh 1/4 of a kilogram, regardless of how much they're written out for. Also, since money in this game isn't weightless, I have to ponder how much money you would be making by today's standards if you exploited this trick. Because the Imperials in Cyrodiil are modeled after the Roman Empire in the real world, we can safely assume that their gold coins have the same gold purity as the currency of the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire actually minted 2 types of gold coins in their tenure, the Aureus and the Solidus. However, for this experiment, we don't need to know which one is the inspiration for the Elder Scrolls gold piece, because they were both 24 karat. So if 400 gold pieces weighs 1 kilogram, that means that each gold coin weighs 2.5 grams each. Selling our loot for 2 million gold pieces means we're raking in 5 million grams worth of gold. As of the time of this writing, gold currently sells for $41.11 per gram. So at 5 million grams, that brings our new net worth in US dollars to an absolutely astonishing $205,650,000 US dollars. All you need to do is make one trip, just one trip, to the Rusty Ogre Lodge, and you are financially set for life. Assuming you made this round trip once per week, you would have a net worth of more than $10 billion inside a year. For all of these reasons and more, the Rusty Ogre Lodge is my pick for the #1 infinite money exploit in the Elder Scrolls franchise. And that'll do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Also, be sure to subscribe for more discussions and in-depth story analysis of your favorite video games. Last but not least, check out some of my Let's Plays on this channel, where I take a more lighthearted approach to these games to just have a good time. In the meantime, however, I am Acer Thorn, and I will see you guys later.